Welcome to the Rum Revival. My name is Arminder, and today we're drinking a brand new rum. This is High Seas. It's the newest addition to the Transcontinental Rum Line. Now, TCRL, as the kids like to call it, has primarily consisted of a core range of aged rums that spotlight different countries. The current range focuses on Jamaica, Panama, Barbados, Australia, and Mauritius. Now, these rums have been aged mostly in their country of origin and then shipped over to Europe, where they're aged another handful of years. Hence the whole name of the brand and the whole notion of ships and transportation. Now, unlike the core range, here the focus is not so much on a specific country or an amount of aging. Instead, it's designed to very much be a mixing rum, a go-to flavorful but affordable bottle to make cocktails with, either at home or at a bar. Now, before we get into what's in the liquid inside, I'd like to take a quick moment to call out this label. I think it's amazing. I mean, look at this thing. It's got the whole ship's porthole here, and if you look through it, there's actually a map of the Caribbean in the back. And I don't know, I just think it looks great, and I love the black and gold. It's a lovely touch. So let's actually move on to the rum inside. And in fact, it's a blend of 3 different rums from 3 different parts of the Caribbean. The first rum of the blend is a tropically aged column still rum from Panama, specifically from Varela Hermanos, the folks that make Los Abuelos rum. Now, as a lightly aged column still rum, it's serving as a base foundation for the blend. It's keeping the blend affordable, it's providing a tinge of color, and it's even providing some rounder oak notes on the palate. Now, since it's lighter in body and flavor, it allows the other 2 rums to add much more punchier flavors and aromas to round out the blend. Next in the blend is an unaged pot still high ester rum from Long Pond Distillery in Jamaica. By esters, we're talking about the organic compounds that provide much of the flavor and aroma of a spirit. Since it's a high ester rum, expect that component to be flavorful and pronounced. Now, given that it's coming from Long Pond, we can expect that component to provide much more of those kind of classic, funkier, overripe fruit notes that you find in a lot of Jamaican rums. And the last rum is an unaged Grand Arome rum from Le Gallion in Martinique. Now, you might associate rums from Martinique as being made from cane juice, but Grand Aromes are actually made from molasses. So they're column distilled rums that are made following similar techniques to Jamaican distilleries to also kind of ultimately create real high ester rums. And these rums are known for having notes of tropical fruits, some salty brine, and sometimes even yogurt tartness. So basically, we've got 1 lightly aged rum and the addition of 2 unaged, high ester, high flavor rums. They're blended together, and then you get this rum right here with no additives and bottled at 45% ABV. Let's give it a try. So the first thing I get on the nose is a touch of grilled or caramelized pineapple. Yeah. And there's even a little bit of spiced pear. And that spiced pear note is something I get in certain Jamaican rums. Now, it's not super strong and intense. This isn't coming across as a 100% pure Jamaican rum. And those notes of caramelized pineapple, spiced pear is kind of rounded out by either something like cream or maybe vanilla, like a vanilla pudding or vanilla cream. Yeah, I think those high ester notes are coming through for sure. I imagine that's where a lot of that pineapple is coming from, and that spiced pear. Yeah, that's, I think, a really nice nose, especially for something that's a mixing rum. Enough talking about what it smells like. Let's actually taste it. Okay, so, interesting. So I'm getting a little bit of hints of pineapple, but the thing that actually kind of catches my attention on the palate is a little bit of bitter or tart marmalade, a sweetened orange peel note with a little bit of twist to it. Yeah, I'd say that, or maybe some orange blossom water as well. There's also a touch of a baking spice note. What is that spice? It's a savory spice, maybe a ginger. I like the mouthfeel. It's veering in the direction of silky. It's not silky, but it's kind of in that general direction. Now, sipping it straight, it's apparent that it's kind of balanced between being kind of light in body and having kind of bigger, bolder flavors. And I think in that balance, it's kind of doing a pretty good job. I mean, it's still definitely veering in the lighter direction, but for something that's light, it has more flavor than you would expect. Now, compared to a lot of other lightly aged mixing rums, I'm much more likely to actually sip this neat. It just has much more personality. However, because this is designed for mixing, to get a true sense of this rum, I should probably try it in some cocktails. And I don't know about you, but I could use a drink or 3. And what better place to start than the classic combination of rum, lime, and sugar, a daiquiri. And I just happen to have one right over here. Cheers. Ooh. A fantastic daiquiri. It's so well balanced. Light in body, there's a crispness, but there's still this flavor of baking spices and a little bit of fruitiness that's an undercurrent to like the more traditional daiquiri flavors. Very delicious. Now that we've had it in a daiquiri, for the next cocktail, let's complicate it a little bit and let's add slightly more interesting ingredients that have their own unique flavors. Let's try it in an El Presidente, which I happen to have right over here, of course. So we've got the High Seas, we've got Blanc Vermouth, we got Dry Curaçao, and we got a little touch of Grenadine. Cheers. Ooh. This is an elegant cocktail. It's a stirred cocktail. Think of this as like a light, easy, breezy, kind of like rum Manhattan, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I think the Curaçao really kind of enhances those marmalade flavors that I was getting in the rum. So I really like El Presidentes, but when you use like a more of a straightforward mixing rum, like a white rum, it ends up being fairly flat. It doesn't have a lot of personality, but here, this is bold and flavorful and vibrant. So we've tried it in a simple, straightforward daiquiri. We've tried it in a El Presidente, which is slightly more elevated, has a little more kind of unique ingredients. But let's try it in a slightly complicated beverage. Let's try it in a tiki drink, right? Tiki drinks have 6, 7, 8 ingredients. There's a lot going on. How does this rum do in that, right? How does it do in a tiki drink? Well, as you've probably guessed, I have a tiki drink right there. I actually have a Fogcutter. Now, a Fogcutter has a rum, and I use the High Seas. It has pisco, it has gin, has a little bit of Oloroso sherry, and it has some orgeat and some lemon and some orange. So there's a lot going on there. Let's see how it tastes. This is like the drink of summer, says the guy that realizes that it's like the first week of fall. The best kind of like complicated tiki tropical drinks, when they really succeed, is when all those ingredients come together and are not providing like conflicting flavors, but like harmonize and are working together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's exactly what's happening here. That is a really good cocktail. Across the board, the High Seas holds its weight against all the various drink styles and ingredients. Like a good mixing rum, you want its presence felt, but you need it to harmonize with everything else. Like it shouldn't be so bold that it dominates. And I think the blend of rums here does a great job of that. You know, this kind of reminds me of everyone's favorite white rum for mixing, Probitas. Lots of similarities between the two. Both are multi-country 3 rum blends. Now, while High Seas is a mix of Panama, Jamaica, and Martinique, Probitas is 2 different rums from Barbados and 1 from Jamaica. And both contain a lightly aged column-still rum and then the addition of 2 unaged rums. Will this become a new cocktail staple like Probitas? Well, only time will tell. It's flavorful and it doesn't get lost in drinks, and it's priced accordingly. But honestly, it's nice to have another option for a high quality, flavorful mixing rum. Sometimes you might want a Probitas and sometimes you might want a High Seas. Either way, you've got 2 options, and that's awesome. The more, the merrier. Well, thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna go and finish all those drinks. Catch you next time. Cheers.